Right. Well, we got a little bit smaller group here, but thank y'all for making it to Commissioner College today. From a timing standpoint, we decided to give out your certificates in your classroom that you were in. And so you've already gone through one graduation ceremony. So a big round of applause for everybody that survived the day. Okay. Well, today, well, not today, but now we're here to, as a group, recognize the hard work that our doctoral candidates have put in over the past number of years to successfully complete their program. We had 7 that finished this year. 6 of them made it here today. One of them needs a staff position, and that's it. He's got his paper finished, so we got 6 to hand out today. Like I said, it's 3 years of work. Y'all know it's work, right? You go to your bachelor's class, your master's class, candidate class, and get your topic ironed out, and then at least 1 year to finish up, maybe more, right? Doesn't always happen in the first year. We've got 6 folks that have completed this process, and today we get to recognize them. I'm filling in for Dr. Blake. He was unable to make it this weekend. He heads up the doctoral review board, and so I'm standing in for him, and going to enjoy seeing these folks get their neckerchiefs. So everybody has completed a paper, and you'll be able to access those online if you want to go look and see what people have been working on. All of the papers are on PACCommissionercollege.com. That's the college's website. So if you want to see the papers or use them as resources, they're really good resources for work that's already been done in scouting, maybe on a subject that you're having a problem with and want to see something get better. So go do a search, and yes, sir. And apparently this ceremony is going to be on there as well. Good deal. So without further ado, I'm going to call up our candidate that is completed, as well as the person that's going to present their neckerchief, which is typically their advisor. So our first candidate that completed is Taylor Thomas. So come on up, Taylor, and presenting his neckerchief and slide and certificate will be Dr. Elizabeth Stoner. She started out as Taylor's advisor, and then Taylor got James as his advisor. So, but Elizabeth's going to stand back in and present today. So, Taylor, if you want to give us a kind of a quick rundown for a minute on your topic, and then we'll get your presentation.
Good. So my topic was strategic Cub Scout growth. And regardless of the council that you're in, we all realize that Cub Scout growth is essential to the movement of scouting, and it's important for all levels. We also realize that when you're a membership volunteer or you're a professional scouter, you're not always in that role. You're not always from that community, especially on the professional side. You may not have the knowledge. And while we have a lot of things in scouting, a lot of resources, they're not always in the same place. And so we developed a tool to help the Palmetto Council grow Cub Scout PACCS that we called a Cub Scout growth tool. And we plotted out our schools, our density, our Cub Scout PACCS, our previous Cub Scout PACCS. We charted out why those charter partners left us, so that we could have a history. So when someone became a membership chairman or became a professional scouter, they didn't have to learn that on their own. It was all in one place for them to see everything. So it was real easy to decide, well, we don't need to put a PAC right here because Mount Moriah has a PAC, or one next door because we already serve this community very well. So it just kind of helped us show where we need to grow scouting at for the right reasons so that we can be successful with those PACs. And that's been a great tool for our council.
Each of the doctoral candidates receives their doctoral neckerchief, as well as their neckerchief slide that has the year that they completed.
Okay. All right. I had to turn around already. Now stand still. Now turn around.
Congratulations, sir.
I know Dr. Blake's not here, but Dr. Blake's helps all of us out on our project. So from Zoom land, thank you so much, Dr. Blake's.
Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll go in a little different order. Well, that's Sue Persons. If you want to come on up, Sue was the advisor for Rhett Rollins, and Rhett Rollins has completed his paper this year. Is Rhett here? Come on, Rhett. You got to get on up here too. We'll let Rhett give us a minute on his work before he gets all his blame.
All right. So my paper was on troop membership, growth, retention, and resilience. So what I did in my paper was I looked at how membership rates for the Boy Scouts of America have been in decline since the late 1960s. And the idea is that that's due to the decline in social capital in general in the United States. So you may be familiar with the concept of bowling alone. So 60 and 70 years ago, people used to bowl in leagues. People still bowl today, they just don't bowl in leagues, they bowl alone. So this idea that people aren't joining these social groups or civic groups, civic clubs. And so my paper looked at that decline, but also looked at how troops can be resilient despite those declines, those trends. So what makes troops successful in recruiting, retaining members, and being resilient? And even despite those national trends, the opposite. So I did a case study of a troop, Troop 39 in Chapel Hill, that was deemed a wonder troop because it had so many people interested in joining that they had a wait list at one point. And so what was unique about this troop? That for years, decades, it was a massively successful troop in Chapel Hill. So they had a long-term scoutmaster that served for decades, so they had consistent adult leadership. They had a successful fundraiser, so they started their fundraising program. They developed the recycling program in Chapel Hill, and they still do that today, but they also expanded and they do concessions at the sports games for UNC. And then they had, of course, an active outdoor program. So I compared that case study, this wonder troop in Chapel Hill, to troops across the country. So I had this survey that I developed with 10 questions, pretty straightforward. And I had 100 scouters of dedicated scouters from across the country do this. So it was distributed online. And what we found was that the majority of respondents from successful troops had scoutmasters who served for at least 3 years, preferably 5 or more, that they had monthly outdoor events, or more frequent than monthly, and they had unique and successful fundraisers in addition to the normal fundraisers that the council does, the sanctions, like popcorn and camp cards. And 100% of the respondents said that they had an active summer program. So these are some of the findings we found that we in my paper about what makes a troop resilient. So all these elements kind of intertwined and show that if you have successful fundraising that can overcome economic barriers for membership, you are more likely to have committed adults, which provide consistency, which enables a better program, which draws in the youth. So that's the gist of my paper. And Sue was there to help me, so I appreciate it. And I encourage y'all to read it. It should be on the website. Yeah. Where do you want me? All right.
Is it?
All right, our next candidate up is Shane Edwards. And Anna, if you want to come on up, Anna was Shane's advisor.
So my topic that I did my paper on was on how to help units better understand Journey to Excellence. And so through my research, what I did is I went out and I surveyed through some district roundtable meetings, different units. I gave some presentations about JTE to those ones. I took our year-to-year reports that we get about units that have completed JTE, what their status was, and looked at all the analysis from year to year from, where maybe in year one, one unit was gold. The next year, they didn't actually score and complete JTE, and the next year they were gold again. And so through the paper, you'll see that a lot of there was change in leadership, how people looked at JTE, whether it was important or not, whether they had a person assigned to it. All those things came into play, whether units are completing their journey to excellence in scoring. In the paper outline how the different categories are, how the scoring works, what the different recognition you can get from the ribbons to the patches, etc., from units to actual individuals that they can wear the patch. And then also I talk about how the districts and councils achieve JT. And then at the end in the summary, I get in and talk about how units, if they're really going to understand it, engage, they need to come to roundtable meetings, they need to get trained, they need to understand it, they need to develop their program like we talk to them about each year, and then they need to follow their program. And if they follow their program, then they'll be able to complete their JTE requirements. And that was the kind of the summary of it.
Anna, you may as well just have a seat up here. The next three candidates were also advised by Anna, so she had a busy year reviewing papers. Our next candidate that completed, Bonnie Everard. Bonnie, come on down.
I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet, like me. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Okay. My paper was on what did you do last weekend? It was it's kind of like a recruitment tool for venturing, whether creating a new crew or recruiting for crews that we already have. And that's about it. It just shows different things in there on how to recruit. And our council does like from Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, down to like Beaufort, and different opportunities there are for high adventure for venturing.
Okay, next up we have Brenda Jackson.
Okay, the topic of my paper was Awesome Secrets for Successful Cub Scout Retention. I've noticed through the years that Cub Scout packs tend to lose members each year, and then they rebuild and then they drop off again. So I was looking at the more successful Cub Scout packs in the Sequoia Council, and asked the Scoutmasters to complete a survey of 20 questions on 12 different topics. Those topics included training for leaders, attendance at den and pack meetings, attendance at district events, community service, funding and fundraising, camping camping activities and participation in outdoor activities, parental and caretaker involvement of committee members and the charter organization, methods of communication that different PACs use, the advancement and the involvement of the commissioners in the PACs. My findings within the PACs pretty well matched what I found in the literature, which led me to draw the conclusions that I did about 7 secrets that lead to successful retention. And those 7 secrets are, first of all, you have to have a charter organization and a PAC committee that support the PAC's activities. If you don't have the involvement of the troop and the committee, then your PAC isn't going to do as well and have the opportunities that it would have if they were more involved. You also have to have a cub master and den leaders who are trained. That includes leader-specific training as well as additional training such as Baloo, Wood Badge, and other things. Commissioners can play a role in that training as well by being a resource to the unit and provide information and training and advice as needed. We all know how important communication is, and that includes communication within a Cub Scout pack as well. That can take many forms. Nobody lives just by one form anymore. I found that packs tend to use email, instant messenger, social media, telephones, one call applications. So, in addition to having a good calendar of events, now if your PAC plans ahead and plans its calendar for several months or in a year in advance, and you can give that to your Cub Scout families, you're going to find that you're going to have more participation at your meetings, at activities, and maybe even at district level activities. Now, while you can't always control what happens on the district level, you can control what happens with your PAC and sort of have some control over the calendar that way. You need to find out what your interests and talents of your parents and your caretakers are. They don't realize it when they join a PAC, but they have a role to play as well, and you need to engage them in your activities. Even if you have to go up and say, can you do such and such on so-and-so day? They may not be willing to volunteer, but if you ask them to do something, usually they'll gladly do it. Recognize and reward Cub Scouts for their accomplishments. They love getting those little belt loops and patches and so forth to put on their uniforms and their belts. And they like for people to come up to them and ask them what those mean and what they're for and what they represent. And the sooner they get those belt loops, the more inclined they are to work harder and the more motivated they become. Last but not least, is have a plan of succession. Those of us who have been with Scouting very long know that Cub Scout leaders tend to cross over into Boy Scouts with their youth when they complete their arrow of light. So you've got to have a succession plan in place for a new Cub Master or a new den leader to step up when your more experienced leaders cross over. So that needs to start several months in advance, maybe even a year in advance, and your PAC committee has to be on board with that and helping to identify who that next leader is going to be. So those are the 7 secrets that I found during my research, and I hope there's something there that all of you can use. Thank you.
You got to come over.
Right. All right, Brenda, you got to give me my cards back. Although I really don't need it from this one. Earl Maddox, it's your turn, buddy. Last one, so come on up.
Well, I'd like to brag and say he saved the best for last, but I won't do that. Uh, my subject was the religious emblems program for Sequoia Council and over Mountain District. And things we covered it in my paper was numbers and percentages over the last 5 years, and how we can increase, promote, and increase the number of religious emblems earned. And also, we included for 5 years the chaplains program at Camp David Crockett, and the different awards that can be earned, and the requirements for them. And hopefully, after this virus thing's over, uh, I have included some recommendations for district, council, and national uh, that I plan to have meetings at the council level, and send some recommendations on to national. Uh, hopefully, just to encourage and promote the program from the very top to right down to the bottom. Yes, you got to turn around. All right, congratulations. Give me your elbow, bud.
apparently James has been watching us and keep critiquing us.
Hi,
Hey, James. So a lot of good work, especially by Anna. 4 candidates finishing in. By myself, I can take that thing off. 4 candidates finishing in 1 year. That's great. A lot of work by the candidates. So those of y'all that are out there thinking about your paper, there's a wide breadth of topics that you can talk to. Cub Scouting, Boy Scouting, recruiting, membership, religious emblems. There's a lot of things that you can work on. So don't narrow it to exactly what your job might be specifically in scouting outside of commissioners. There's a lot of things you can work on that can help the scouting program. And I want to thank the full doctoral board, because there's a representative from each council, and they review all these papers and help get the papers finished and looked at. So it's a lot of work. It takes the whole group. James kind of rides herd over that group and to make sure everything gets in the right format. And go look at the website. There's a lot of this is good information. And if you got a problem in scouting, there's a chance that somebody may have researched it and may help you out, or at least get you pointed in a direction that you hadn't thought about. So with that, we'll move on to a couple of our awards that we need to give out for for the full college. The first is the Participation Award. And while we don't currently know exactly where the physical award is, so we're not going to ask last year's winner, the Palmetto Council, to bring it up here to let us re-award it. But since they're taking it home anyway, Palmetto Council, congratulations on winning the Participation Award. All right, the other item we have to do is the traveling. So this goes to who traveled the farthest to get to Commissioner College, and it's got a rich history on the back, and it seems to generally be somebody either from Tennessee or Charleston, in that area or something. So who traveled more than 200 miles to get here one way? Brenda? Yeah, you were the winner last year, right? So how many miles? One way? 480 miles. Somebody came from Florida? Who's from Florida? They're already there. They're already halfway back home. I know we got somebody from Texas that keeps claiming he's moving back to our area, but it seems to keep getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And so what? Yeah, that's right. So how far was your travel? All right. So what you say we go with Bill on this year, since Brenda had it last year? We'll let Bill take on the traveling award this year. Maybe next year the drive won't be so far to get here. Oh. All right. One award you might notice and wonder if we're going to give out this year, we have kind of talked a bit about it and chosen not to. We haven't really had the opportunity to get together as a group, so we've decided that the Oompa Award is going to take a year off. So we have not seen enough Oompa here to bring out the serious Oompa. So hopefully we'll get back together and have the chance for everybody to meet everybody and interact and have some of the good fellowship that we normally have in the full weekend event. And the Oompa tends to show itself when those conditions are met. So everybody seems to have been on really good behavior today. But weekend long events, the Oompa slips, or you slip on the Oompa. It depends on how you want to look at it. Want to thank Mount Moriah Baptist Church for hosting us. They've really been helpful. Reverend Snoddy and Maya Nesbitt in the office, they've really worked with us hard to help put this event on. It's a great facility, and they are big supporters of the scouting program. And it gave us a chance to pull this event off when there's really not many places that you can get together and have something like this. So just how about a big round of applause for Mount Moriah? So hopefully y'all learned a lot. Hopefully you guys and gals have learned something that you can go back home and help make commissioner service better in your area. I want to thank our host council this year, which was Blue Ridge Council. They provided all of the little change in the duties of the host council this year, but they provided the coffee and the snacks that you saw around everywhere. And if it's one thing we've always been able to prove, commissioners get grumpy if they don't have coffee. They're not limited to getting grumpy about coffee, but coffee will make them grumpy. I don't know what it is. But thanks to David Surratt, he was had a little bit of a plumbing ticker issue a couple of weeks ago and was in the hospital for a bit, and he was unable to get here today. Maybe he's watching on the connection. But David, thanks for you and your team. Bill Ross was here earlier and his wife and helping get everything set up, and he had to head off to another Eagle Scout board and things like that. So they hooked us up in kind of a hit and run. I would like to bring up Sue Persons from the Daniel Boone Council. Sue, it will be in her group from Daniel Boone, will be our host council for next year. And if you've got a calendar, the dates where it looks like we're going to have Commissioner College next year. We're shooting, hoping for the whole weekend, and we're hoping to be back at Wofford, we'll see, on June 4 through 6 of 2021. So, Sue, any words of wisdom?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. You have the traveling award. You have to bring it back next year personally. You cannot mail it in or ship it FedEx or UPS or drop it in the mail, whatever kind of service we have going at that time. So we expect you to come back, Texas. All right. On behalf of the Daniel Boone Council and our executive board, we are really excited to accept the opportunity to host next year's Piedmont Appalachian Commissioner College. Want all of you to go home and practice those skills that involve achieving an Oompa Award. We will have a competition to see who can bring the spirit to the school. Look forward to it. Bring a buddy. It's a buddy system. Thanks to Ruth, she said she developed a buddy system. So all of you got to bring a buddy and come back to college.
With that, I think we're finished up for this year. Appreciate your time. I hope you learned something. Thank you for coming out. It's great to see this many scouters in one place. You know, it's been kind of a lot of online stuff, and it's nice to see everybody get out. But y'all drive safely. Morgan, Taylor, thank you for all the help that you've given us throughout the year and putting on the college. We can't do it without you guys. And thank you. Take care, drive safe, and we will see you next year, hopefully. Hopefully it won't be a year. Hopefully it'll be June. Richard, thank you for your work with the Zoom.